I'm Joel.
And I'm Debbie.
And welcome back to Ellsworth Road Productions
Custom Creations.
Alright, so today we actually have a guitar kit, and my attempt here is to prove that somebody who's never actually built anything with proper instruction can actually put a guitar kit together. So here it is right here. First thing we're going to need is a razor knife. So if you would, because I have not opened this, I promised. I don't even know which way is up. I can't tell from how it is. So go ahead, let's pop it open.
Okay.
And let's take a look and see what we got.
We're going to pop this cherry on this box. Should I lick it before I stick it?
Oh, if you need to.
Always. It's always more comfortable.
A box in a box. Okay. All right. Now I think this needs to be flipped over.
Okay.
All right. This is a kit from a company called Leo Jaymz. I actually have another one of their guitars right now that I'm partway through building. And so far I'm actually happy with the kit, so that's why I chose them again. Oh.
Are you having trouble finishing that one?
Yes, I am having trouble figuring out how to finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta just
Haven't made a commitment on where exactly how to finish it.
Okay. Ready for me to
Yeah, let's see what we got here. More boxes. That's good. All right, so it's packed well, so the parts aren't just sliding around. I'm okay with that. More is better. So that is probably going to be the neck. Let's just set that one just right there real quick. And let's just put these three. I'm going to guess that's the body. This is the hardware. That's the neck.
I'm gonna start with the body.
Might as well. Ooh. So this should be an all mahogany Telecaster. Go ahead and just pull the whole thing out. Set it right back down. Its little the foam, if you would.
On the foam.
Yes, let's keep that. All right, let's get a look at this thing. Well, right away, I can see we have a boo-boo on the wood they fixed, but good thing is that's going to be covered up actually by the parts, so that's not a problem. Wow, they have done a lot of sanding already. This has been sealed, I can tell with the feel of it, and it's probably down at least 220 grit already. So, all right, this is going to make it a little bit easier to build. We're not going to be covered in sawdust.
I like them when they're easy.
All right, let's put the grain pattern of this thing. That's actually kind of nice. So if we were to put like a stained finish, this gray would really pop out a lot. But I can see I've got a few spots here we got to play with. So the wood's not 100% perfect, but you know what? For the price, you always got to expect to do a little bit. So so far I'm actually pretty pleased with the quality of that. Let's get a little bit closer look. Looks like all the holes are drilled. It's about the right weight for mahogany too, so, okay. I would say, let's see what, that's probably the neck.
Grab a hold of this neck here. Oops, I ripped the foam. Unsheath it.
Alright, so that's...
Let's take that off.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way. It's pretty light, actually.
You look like you know what you're doing there, handling that wood.
A lot of experience handling wood.
That's good.
Yeah.
You can guide me in the right direction.
So black dots. Inlays, it's kind of nice. Let's just. Alright, gonna need a teensiest of sanding, but that is a nice, that's tight.
Nice tight fit there.
Yeah, that is tight. It's gonna need, okay, so I can see it doesn't go all, there it goes. Teensiest bit of sanding, so they did a pretty good job. And I gotta say the finish, or at least the wood quality of the neck. There we go. Tighter is better. It's pretty good. Let's get, out of curiosity, let's pull out a straightness gauge and take a look at it. I don't know if you can see directly underneath. I'm trying to go from that camera angle, but
I'm gonna hold the wood for you.
yeah, hold that wood up, would you? Yeah, there's basically, I'm not seeing any daylight underneath that neck, so that neck is nice and straight, so that's a plus.
Good.
So not a whole lot of work there. All right, now the fun stuff. These are all the things that get lost.
All the tiny parts.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We want to make sure we preserve these bags that comes in. If your kit doesn't come with bags, you're going to basically want to go get yourself a handful of Ziplocs and a Sharpie, because you're going to want to start labeling stuff. And you're going to get confused quick. All right. This out of the way. So everything is pretty much pre-wired. We don't have to do any crazy ass soldering. So this is probably going to be the bridge pickup, and this is the neck pickup. Usually the hotter one is this one, and then the softer one's that one. So instead of the traditional Telecaster style plate it usually would have here, it's got more of a Stratocaster style switch. So that's kind of a hybrid guitar. And yeah, all right, yeah. Dime-sized pots. I probably will upgrade these later, but we'll see how these go. It's got a floating point bridge. So one of the reasons I bought this kit is it's got a feature I've never done before, and that's this type of a bridge that floats. So we're going to see how accurate this is as far as using a whammy bar on it if it comes back into position. Just cable the whammy bar. They give you copper shielding. Plastic plates, no frills there. Might upgrade those later. Of course, they give you a set of strings. These are always the ones you want to start out with while you're putting it together, but you don't want to play with those. Neck plates, basic. Tuners. They fit. I'm not 100% sold yet on these tuners, because usually tuners are the first thing you want to upgrade on a kit, but we'll play with them and see what happens. And system control part. All right, so what do we got for screws? This is the stuff that gets lost. So yeah, this is where you're going to want the plastic, the Ziploc bags to basically seal up and put these back in once you open them. The only thing we're going to look at here is really going to worry about is putting the neck together. Because I want to make sure everything fits. I kind of have an idea it does. So all we're going to need right now is really the plate and these screws. And I won't set these anchors yet. I'll wait till all the sanding is done. So,
All right.
What do you think?
I think I'm gonna have some fun here, screwing some wood. Yeah.
So basically, the hardware is kind of black, except the tuners aren't. So you've got black pickups, and well, that's about the only thing that pops out, and then the rest is silver. So yeah. I'm just gonna get an idea for like a, I don't know, how to finish it or everything. All right, how's your box of wood treating you? What do you think?
Box of wood. I think it looks fairly decent. I like that it's nice and straight for me to work with. Gotta love the straight wood. And then
You really gotta think about how you're gonna finish.
I know. It's always difficult to figure out how they need to finish it when you're first working with them, you know.
Yeah.
Especially straight out of the box, popping that cherry. Oh, cherry! I might be able to do cherry.
The cherry stain on that probably wouldn't look too bad. I've got a few pieces of mahogany around that we can actually do some test stuff on too to see what stuff looks like. So, all right. We're going to take a break here. We're going to come back, and what I'm going to do is we're going to go over basically the supplies and these tools back here and how you get started. And you don't open these bags. Don't start messing with the parts. You're going to want to. Your squirrels are going to be fired up. You want to just tear into it. Don't. Wait. We're going to show you what equipment you need to get going before you even start.
Gotta have the proper tools before you dive into something like this.
That's right. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, thanks for hanging around, and we're going to go over the supplies and tools we need to basically get the guitar done. Like I said, don't open the bags, don't sand, don't do anything. Get this stuff done first. Trust me, you'll thank us later. Okay. Like I said earlier, if you do not have any kind of zip stuff that doesn't come in bags, I'm going to need them because it's one big bag I got to tear open. You need Ziplocs and a Sharpie because you need to mark what these screws are because you'll never figure it out later on down the road. Various sandpapers, anything from, I'm actually liking these little spongy ones for doing some neck work and touch up. Anything from about 120 to 220. I stay away from 80 and 60 grit on guitars mostly because once you get a deep scratch, you're standing forever. I'd rather take a little more time with the higher grit sandpaper than covering up a mistake. You're going to need painter's tape, at least 2 different sizes. You can get away with 1. This is not for painting. This is basically for protecting the guitar, the neck, the frets, everything when you're working on it so you don't get any scratches. Tight bond glue. Get the real stuff. Don't get the Elmer's wood glue. This is why everybody uses this. This is what you'll be gluing most of your parts together with if you have something you got to glue. This guitar doesn't take much in the way of glue, so thankfully we won't be needing it. You need something to cut strings with, at least a good string winder with a string cutter, either one. I prefer a string winder because you're going to be pulling these strings back on and off a couple times. Various screwdrivers, literally the tiny ones for like the bridge and pickup screws all the way to a number 2 screwdriver. I would recommend a stubby Phillips for when you're doing neck work because you need that extra bite. You're going to want some string setup gauges. I actually recommend this one I have here from Music Nomad. I've been using it for a little bit. Very simple to use. Rulers. Accurate rulers. Don't go buy cheap stuff that basically has a different measurement every one you pick up. Buy name brand stuff. You're going to need a good carpenter square. You're going to need at least 1 metal ruler. I don't know. I got tape measures are fine. If you use a tape measure, you use what's called burning an inch, and the reason you do that, that's like a lot of slack. So you start measuring at 1 inch. That's how you use a tape measure accurately on a guitar. Else you'll never have anything set up right. Clamps. You can never have enough clamps. Hopefully we won't be doing a lot of clamping on this one right away. Mostly if we were doing a second nut guitar, we would want to have a nice big steel clamp around 6 to 8 inches to 9 inches. And the same with a couple of plastic ones that are, these actually work well, but these will actually are better for neck work because they will tighten down really tight. These are good for generally just keeping things in place where you're gluing them. Clamp size, literally, I usually thought when I started doing this about a 6-inch clamp was going to be enough. I kind of figured out get like 8 or 9 inch clamps, and the reason is just because you've got a bigger clamp doesn't mean you've got to use all of the clamp, and it's better to have a bigger clamp than try to start up a smaller one and wish you had a bigger one to begin with.
Yeah, size definitely does matter when you are using
I don't know.
proper size clamp. You can get a lot more done.
But you can still use these.
Yeah.
So if you got some really tight narrow spaces that you can't normally access, a small clamp is great for first time getting in there and doing some work. That's it, really. These are the things you need to get going, and don't start. Oh, one more thing I forgot. Extra set of strings, and the reason is when you're done with the cheap strings they give you, they're going to be stretched and out of tune. Finish it up with something that you choose. But also think about when you set the guitar up, you want to set it up with the same exact gauge of strings they gave you. I'm going to guess by looking at these These are probably going to be 10 gauge strings, so I usually keep 10 gauges around, so this should work. Very plain looking. So what do you think there, Deb?
Got a range of tools here to be working on this guitar. You said to properly measure, you start at the 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I were to measure my clamp, I would want to start at the 1. So you'd be looking at, oh, 6.
Alright, so next thing we're going to do is I'm going to basically get some stuff up on the computer here, looking at different Telecaster layouts, designs, and we're going to come up with some kind of a plan to finish this thing. And I don't know, well, we can make something unique. Just because I'm building a kit doesn't mean I'm going to build a normal guitar. I don't do anything normal, if you guys have seen already. So somehow this is getting tricked out. We're going to put our devious minds to it and see what we come up with.